Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So with everything going on lately, we know that kids are being cooped up in the house and we try to get out of the house as much as possible. We go on bike rides and do different things. But when you think of Kauai, I know you always think of beaches and surfing, but we actually try to get out in Mother Nature as often as possible. If you're visiting Kauai or live on Kauai and you don't have children, it's a little easier to get more adventurous and do different things on your own. And with kids, it's a little more difficult because you might get some tears and whining, and it can be difficult. So I wanted to bring to you the best family hikes on Kauai. We are lucky that on Kauai we have more hiking trails than any other Hawaiian island. So what are the best family hikes? Let's get to it. So some things to remember that are really important for your hiking is mosquito repellent, water, snacks, and sunscreen, especially the mosquito repellent, because these hikes can definitely get gnarly with mosquitoes. I think all of them except one that I'm going to mention. You definitely want to make sure that you have the mosquito repellent. Another important thing that you can try to remember, I think some hikes do have signs here and there, but before your hike and after your hike, is to try and clean your boots and shoes. This is just to help prevent the spread of invasive species, and we actually do have a bit of a problem with that here on Kauai, so it's just a precaution to help try to prevent the spread. So all the hikes, I will also put a link in the description to the AllTrails hike, because some hikes I think can be confusing and you might not know exactly which hike I'm talking about. Like one of the ones I'm going to be mentioning later, there's a few trails that have similar names or people think are the official trail and they're not. So I'll make sure that I use the AllTrails link to the exact specific hike to make sure that you're going on the right one. So let's get started with the hikes. First up, Waipu Falls. This hike is located on the west side, and it's best if you try to get to this hike as early as possible because the clouds do tend to come roll in the afternoon and will shade on your parade. In other words, block the views of the valley. But if you don't have many clouds that day, you will be thankful once you get to the top. A lot of hikers do feel like because of the name that they're going to see this epic 800-foot waterfall coming down. You're going to get these like straight on view of the waterfall, but actually really never do. You're hiking up to the top of the waterfall. You'll basically see like the stream coming down to the 800-foot fall in front of you. You do see like little mini waterfalls along the way, but it's nothing like this 800-foot fall. But don't let that deter you from doing this hike, because it's really breathtaking once you get to the top to see the valley below. It's incredible. So I would definitely consider still doing this hike, even though you don't get that straight on shot of the waterfalls. This is an out and back trail. It is very popular with families. It's about 3.2 miles round trip. You can hike this year round and it won't disappoint. My next family trail is Moalepe Trail. This trail is located on the east side of Kauai and is in the upper Wailua Homesteads area. This trail takes you through the Halealea Forest Reserve, and it's a really great hike for families. It's probably one of the more popular hikes actually on island because of its location being on the east side, and it's really widely used by not just hikers. You'll see people riding horseback over there and even mountain bikers. It has really beautiful views along the way, and you'll see the really bright green mountains in the distance, and you'll even get some views of Kong going on this hike. I like taking the kids on this hike because it's a really gentle climb. It can get really muddy though in some areas, maybe because it is so popular. So we try to avoid going there when it's just rained a lot, especially like the night before or the morning of. But if you're a family like ours, sometimes it's kind of nice to get out. You are in nature after all, so it's kind of fun to slip and slide and get all muddy and dirty and have fun with it. This is also an out and back trail, about 5 miles in total, and you can continue on to other trails, but this is the only kid-friendly trail I would recommend, so that's why I'm suggesting to come back out on the same trail. My next hike up to talk about, and I hope I am not butchering this name, actually I know I'm butchering this name, is the No'u Kuamu Trail, also known as one of the Sleeping Giant Trails. So that is much easier for me to say. So it's one of the Sleeping Giant Trails. This hike is also located on the east side, and it's actually probably my favorite trail to go with the kids. It's also, I think, probably the most popular trail on the east side, and so you should try to get up very early and go early to avoid the crowds. If you have kids, that's probably really simple for you to do anyway. This trail can also get super duper muddy, just like the previous trail I was talking about, and so try to avoid it if you can, if it has rained pretty heavily the past couple of days. I also really like this hike because about a mile in, there are some picnic tables that you can enjoy a little sandwich or some snacks on and take a little break. And then actually all the way at the top of the hike is the same thing. There are some picnic tables up there so you can enjoy the view, eat a sandwich, and then head on back down. So this mountain is called Sleeping Giant Mountain because that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like a sleeping giant, and you can get much better views and really see the giant when you're like in the Kapa'a area. And this hike actually hikes across the chest of the giant, I guess you could say. You can also see another famous mountain when you're on this hike, which is Kong, because just like the sleeping giant, it resembles King Kong's face. This hike is also an out and back hike, and it's about 5 miles in total. And when you get to the top, you might even be lucky enough to steal some freshly fallen strawberry guavas. Delicious. Next family hike is the Kuhilau Trail. This is another one for the east side of Kauai. This trail is actually very well maintained, but just like all the other ones, if you head there after an evening of rain, it can get very muddy as well. I actually really love this trail because even though you don't get these like epic views along the way, you are definitely surrounded in Mother Nature. You get to see all sorts of different plant life and trees, both native and non-native to Kauai. And it's also a really easy hike for kids. It's a very slow incline and also a very nice wide road, which is not common to find on Kauai. This is an out and back trail as well, and it's about 3.6 miles in total. Last family hike on the list is the Mahulipu Trail. This trail is located on the south shore of Kauai, and if you watched my video on the south shore, then you already know about this famous heritage trail. This trail is a very flat trail, and it's obviously very different from the other trails because you are on the coast of Kauai the entire time, and you're not going through any dense forest and not going to get muddy as you're along the ocean the majority of the time. The vegetation and the plant life that you'll see here on this hike is actually really different too, since the South Shore has a very different climate than the rest of the island. This hike starts at Shipwreck Beach, and you'll walk along the coast and you'll see really cool sand dunes and limestone formations. You might even be lucky enough to see some monk seals and sea turtles in the distance. This is also an out and back trail, and it's about 4 miles round trip. Okay, so that was my list of family-friendly hikes. And I am going to add one more because a lot of people would argue that this is not really family-friendly, kid-friendly. But I have done this hike before with our kids, and both them walking and in a backpack. I've also done it pregnant, so you can judge it. And the reason why I'm adding this to this list is because this is my all-time favorite hike in the world. And it's so beautiful, and I can't imagine really anybody coming to Kauai and missing it. And you don't have to do the full crazy hike to the waterfalls, but the Nepali Coast hike, also known as the Kalalau Trail. Good morning to you too, Rooster. I guess he agrees. Kalalau Trail, I like to call it Nepali Coast hike because the Kalalau Trail, a lot of people are like, well, Google that, and it's going to show you that it's this 11-mile one-way 11-mile hike, and you need to sleep over and all that stuff. But that's not necessary. You could just do the first 2 miles, which goes to the beach. It's just so beautiful, so unique, really, really amazing views that you'll never see anywhere else. I've traveled quite a bit, quite extensively, hiked many places, and still my #1 hike anywhere I've ever been. So I'm gonna add it, and you guys can go hike a little while. If it's too hard or your kids are just not digging it, you can come right back down and go hang out at KA Beach, and everyone will be happy anyway. So that's my list of family hikes here on Kauai. Again, if you're here by yourself or just don't have kids with you, you could be a lot more adventurous and check out all the different hikes that Kauai has to offer. And there are plenty, but they're definitely a lot more difficult than the ones I'm mentioning. But I definitely recommend doing as many as you can because they're all pretty spectacular. I think my next video for sure is going to be how I made Kauai happen. I have been working on getting a little script, I guess you could call it, together. It's taken me a bit of time because, like I have mentioned before, I don't want it to get out of control and overboard, but I am working on it, and I hope to record that and get that out to you guys soon. Please, if you like this video, go ahead and click that like button, and if you want to see more of my videos on Kauai and hosting and financing and investing, go ahead and click that subscribe button. I'll see you next time. This thing keeps on pulling down. In the comments below, if you have a suggestion on a better mic, that'd be great. We bought this thing for our kids to record them because it's diesel, waterproof, and with kids, you never know. So if you have a suggestion, please let me know.